Not nanisurigilasis. There came a time when I had to let go, not of him, but of the need to convince him. Love cannot bloom in soil watered only by one heart. I stepped back, not out of defeat, but out of faith. I believed that love, if real, doesn't vanish, it transforms. I wanted him to find himself, to face his reflection and see what I had seen all along. The day I walked away, I didn't cry. I carried peace instead, knowing that my love had left fingerprints on his soul. It wasn't about forcing him to love me back. It was about helping him see that he was capable of love in the first place. And though my absence hurt, I hoped it would make space for clarity, for healing, for him to finally look in the mirror and recognize the beauty I had always seen staring back. Time passed like an ocean between us, slow, vast, and full of memories. I thought of him often, wondering if he had learned to soften, to forgive himself for the things he couldn't control. There were nights when the wind carried echoes of his laughter, and I smiled, remembering how it once felt to be the reason for it. I didn't regret loving him. Some loves aren't meant to last forever. They're meant to awaken something. He had awakened a part of me that could love selflessly without expectation, and maybe I had awakened in him the idea that love wasn't something to fear. Still, there was a quiet ache that lingered, the kind that comes from unfinished conversations. I didn't need closure. I just wanted to know that he was finally free from the weight that once made him blind to everything good, everything real, everything true. The day we crossed paths again, everything inside me stilled. He looked different, calmer, grounded, as if time had taught him how to breathe again. His eyes met mine, and for the first time, I didn't see confusion or hesitation. I saw understanding. He smiled, a real one, not the practiced kind that hides pain. I get it now, he said softly. I didn't ask what he meant. I didn't have to. I could see it in the way he looked at me, in the way his gaze didn't wander. He had finally seen it. Not me, not just the love I gave him, but himself. The version I had always believed in, the version I had loved into existence, even when he couldn't see it. And in that moment, everything made sense. All the waiting, all the pain, it had never been in vain. He told me that he had spent years trying to understand why I loved him, that for the longest time, he believed he didn't deserve it. But somewhere along the way, he realized love isn't about deserving. It's about accepting. He said my love had stayed with him, not as a ghost, but as a compass. It had guided him through the darkness until he found his own light. I listened in silence, tears forming but never falling. I didn't need to say anything. His eyes spoke the words I had waited to hear all along. He finally saw what I saw, the beauty in his imperfection, the strength in his vulnerability, the light that had always been his. And though our story had changed, the love between us hadn't died. It had simply evolved. Gentle, quiet, eternal. As the sun dipped behind him, painting his silhouette in gold, I realized that love's truest victory isn't in being returned. It's in being understood. I had loved him, not to change him, but to awaken him. And now seeing him whole, I felt a peace I hadn't known before. We didn't need promises or forever. Sometimes it's like the day love won over tradition. The day began with silence, the kind that carries centuries of rules and unspoken fears. I could feel the weight of generations pressing on my shoulders, whispering that love should obey lines drawn long before we were born. But my heart refused to listen. I looked at him and saw not rebellion, but truth, a truth that had waited far too long to breathe. Every glance between us carried battles we had already fought in secret. Every touch a defiance against a world that wanted us apart. I wanted to scream that love isn't seen, that hearts cannot be chained to customs that forgot how to feel. That morning, I decided to stop hiding. The air trembled with our decision, and even though my hands shook, I felt stronger than ever before. Love was no longer a wish, it was a revolution, quietly burning in our veins. He stood across the courtyard, sunlight tracing his features, like a blessing from something higher than rules. I saw in his eyes a fire that matched mine, one that refused to bow to the fears of elders or the whispers of judgment. For years we had been told that love must kneel before duty, that family names mattered more than hearts that bled for one another. But that day the walls cracked. He didn't need to speak. His gaze carried promises more powerful than words. Every step he took toward me felt like a declaration that love was not an enemy, that two souls could rise even when the world wanted them buried in obedience. I felt the ground tremble beneath us as if the earth itself knew something sacred was shifting. The voices began to rise behind us. Warnings, pleas, even threats, boys. None could drown out the rhythm our hearts beat in unison. He reached for my hand, and in that simple gesture, centuries trembled. Our fingers locked like anchors in a storm, and I realized that love wasn't about winning approval. It was about surviving together against everything meant to tear us apart. His grip told me that he would not let go, no matter what names they called him, no matter how many doors were closed. We'd spent too many nights dreaming of a freedom that never came. Now we were daring to live it. As the noise grew louder, I heard the faint echo of my heartbeat whisper, "This is what love looks like when it refuses to die." Tears gathered in my eyes, not from fear but from the beauty of courage. We stood there, surrounded by those who believed they were right, who thought love was a choice that needed permission, but love had chosen us long before anyone could interfere. I saw the disbelief in their faces, the way they clung to rules like lifelines, afraid of what might happen if they let go. Yet even their anger couldn't touch what was happening between us. In his eyes, I saw my future, not one written by others, but one carved by our own defiance. For the first time, I understood that love's purity isn't proven by acceptance. It's proven by the willingness to fight for it when everything stands against you. I remembered the trembling voice of my mother begging me to reconsider, to think of the shame, the gossip, the endless judgment. But love had already rewritten my destiny. I wanted to tell her that I wasn't abandoning my roots, only breaking the chains that stopped them from growing. He stood beside me, silent yet resolute. His presence the only strength I needed. My heart ached for the pain our choices brought to others, but I couldn't let that pain become the cage that trapped us. Some decisions break families. Others rebuild the meaning of family itself.